Hello, this is Nick here. I'm doing a video today about how to fix a 3-ring binder whose rings have been stretched. I got this book today and I ordered it used, and it's a three-ring binder book. And when I opened it up, I noticed that there was a slight gap in between the rings here, and I thought that was pretty annoying. I paid pretty good money for this book. It's a Vitamix recipe book for the Vitamix brand blender, and anyway, I just was unhappy with the situation, and I thought about contacting Amazon to let them know about this, but then I also thought maybe I could fix it myself. Well, when I researched, initially I thought I knew how to fix it, because I've had binders before in the past, back when I was in school and otherwise taking classes. Over time the binder rings sometimes get crushed in your backpack, or they, you put too many papers in them and it stretches them out, and over time they get bent, and it's just really frustrating. It's understandable if it's an older binder that you've used for a while, but when you buy a book or a binder book that's like this, a recipe book, and it says it's like new and you pay good money for it, well, it's kind of frustrating when you find out when you get it that the rings are bent out of shape. So anyway, to make a long story short, I tried my original method that I had come up with when I was in school, and that was to try and take these rings, which were stretched. I don't know if you can tell from this picture. They were kind of stretched out about like this, but one of them was maybe just a little bit stretched. Just enough to where it could cause the papers, the leaves of the actual book to scratch up against the metal inside of here, and I just wasn't happy with that. So what I did is I took the ring and I basically pushed it apart. I don't want to do it now because I've actually already fixed this. It probably would have been good to make a video of this before I fixed it, but it was so involved and I was so frustrated and upset over it that I just didn't think of doing that. But anyway, I basically pushed the two sides apart, and you got to use a fair amount of force with your fingers to do that. You're basically pushing one side this way and the other side down this way, and you literally push and you separate these to where they overlap. And then once they overlap, you take the ring and you squeeze it together. Now, when I did this, this was the method I used before. It seemed like it had worked with other binders, but it wasn't working too well with this one. So after some trial and error, I got online and I researched some other videos, and I was trying to find, I thought somebody else had already figured out this solution to this. Well, sure enough, there were a couple of half-decent videos on YouTube, but I really wasn't happy with them. There was some guy using a piece of wood, putting them in between a ring and then squeezing the other rings. That seemed like a reasonable idea, but I didn't even try that because it didn't look like it was going to work for me. And then, there was somebody else that was beating on them with a screwdriver. Some videos that were done by kids that just, weren't, in my opinion, up to speed, and really they weren't all that helpful. So I hope this video is going to help other people. Now let me just get straight down to it. What I did, and I'm sorry for such a long introduction. What I ended up doing is I got out some pliers. I don't know if you can see here. I got pliers and a hammer. And after trying over and over again to do this with my fingers and failing, and there was still a gap in between here, I got frustrated, and I decided I'm I'm either gonna win or I'm gonna lose this battle. I tried opening up the. Sorry, I set the phone down. I'm recording with my phone here. I tried separating the rings out here this way by opening up with the outer tabs, and I tried various different methods of pushing this in while holding these out. So like pushing this inward while holding the rings and preventing them from closing. I also tried closing the rings and pushing this out while they were closed, and then I figured that was just bending the mechanism on the inside. So I gave up on that. But what really ended up working is taking the pliers and literally, sorry if this video turns out horrible, because it doesn't look good as I'm recording it in my phone. It looks all blurry. And sorry for all the shakiness too. I always find that annoying with videos. What I ended up doing, let's see if I can get a good angle here, is I took the pliers and I separated the two sides as I was explaining before. I pushed one edge out and the other edge, trying to get a finger in there. Push the back edge that way. Okay, and after doing that, I literally took the pliers and I squeezed pretty dang hard. Like, I squeezed much harder than I could with just my bare fingers. And I pushed them to where they overlapped fully. And I even heard kind of a snapping sound. And once I did that and brought these back into place, pulled them back out, there's a slight overlap, so you've got to actually overlap the two sides in opposite directions to get it back aligned to where when you recenter these guys, they need to be the little notches need to align perfectly, otherwise it doesn't close right. So I basically pinch this way or that way with the fingers to get them to match up right. And of course, there's also an issue sometimes when you do this sort of thing. You end up with, I don't know if you can see here, you can end up with one side of the ring higher or lower than the other. And if that happens, well, it did happen when I did this. What I ended up doing is I used a combination of both the needle nose pliers here and the other pliers, and I used a plier on either side, and at the same time I used my hand to hold down the actual mechanism part in the center here, this part here, with a good amount of force, because you gotta get it stationary in order to prevent it from damaging the attachments to the actual cardboard of the book itself. But once I did that, I was able to use both pliers, needle nose and regular, to bend the rings not only to where they would match up from this angle, but also to match up, I guess you could say vertically, from top to bottom here. Got my finger in the wrong place. Right there. You want them to match up correctly right here. Otherwise, if this part here is down too much, it'll scratch the pages. And I mean, obviously, you can tell it's not right. So I just managed to get this done with pliers, and it took some frustrating and fiddling and such, but eventually I got it, and now I'm going to go out to the garage and I'm going to sand with some fine sandpaper the edges of these rings where I had the pliers on them, because they got kind of marred up and roughed up from squeezing them so hard with the pliers to bend them back into shape. And I might have to do a little bit more fine tuning with the center ring here, because it doesn't feel quite right. You can use your finger once you get them tight. Now these are tight enough now to where literally, sorry for all the camera shaking, they fully squeeze back together. Before they were kind of like this, see if I can get that. They were kind of a little bit loose like that, but now they fully squeeze back together. And anyway, this is going to be a long video. Hopefully this is helpful to some people, because I know when I tried to look this up, I really didn't find too many great videos on the subject, and I just hope this video is helpful to someone who's got the same problem, because these can be fixed. I know I heard somebody suggest that once the spring inside was bent, that the mechanism is ruined. Well, you know, if there's a will, there's a way, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer as far as getting this fixed, and so I fixed it, and I'm just letting everybody know that it can be done. Wish there was a better means to get an explanation of how to do this online, but somebody probably has actually written up a description of how to do this as well. Maybe I'll put something up on ScribeD or something to explain how to do this with actual, written instructions. So anyway, hopefully this is helpful, and thanks for watching. And this is like my second YouTube video. Hopefully it turns out okay. Might have to redo it because the picture is so freaking blurry using a camera phone. Anyway, thanks everybody. Have a great day, and if you use Vitamix, happy blending.